All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are diving deep into the world of law enforcement. Yeah, we're going to trade our usual routine for badges and explore what it really takes to become a police inspector. And let me tell you, it is much more than just sirens and car chases.
Yeah.
This is the real deal. We're talking thanks to RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
You got that right. It's easy to get caught up in those Hollywood depictions of police work, but the reality is much more about leadership and management than just chasing down those criminals.
So less law and order and more coordinating a team of officers,
Yeah.
making sure everyone's on the same page
Yeah.
and that the department is running smoothly. But instead of gears and grease, we're talking laws and regulations.
Exactly. Think of a police inspector, like the conductor of an orchestra. They might not play every instrument, but they're responsible for making sure everyone's in sync, hitting the right notes, to create this harmonious symphony of law and order.
Okay, I love that analogy. But if we're ditching those dramatic stakeouts, what does a typical day actually look like for a police inspector? Like, what is on their to-do list?
Well, it's a blend of responsibilities, really. One minute they might be overseeing a team of detectives working on a complex case, and the next reviewing reports analyzing crime statistics, or even developing departmental policy.
Hold on, developing policies. I thought that was something that, like, politicians handled.
That's where it gets interesting. The guide really highlights how police inspectors play a very crucial role in shaping how laws are enforced on the ground. Like, for example, they might create regulatory guidelines based on those emerging crime trends or community concerns. So they're directly impacting how officers respond to the situations in the field.
You know, that's a side of law enforcement I never really considered. It's not just about reacting to crime. It's about proactively preventing it and building that trust within the community.
Absolutely. It requires a deep understanding of those legal procedures, a keen sense of social responsibility, and being able to adapt to those ever-changing situations.
So it's not all about physical strength and chasing down bad guys like we see on TV.
Mm.
There's a huge emphasis on critical thinking, communication, and problem-solving skills.
Hmm.
It sounds like being a people person is just as important as knowing the law.
You got it. Remember, a police inspector is responsible for managing and motivating a diverse team of officers, often in those high-pressure situations. They need to be able to delegate tasks effectively, resolve conflicts fairly, and also make those tough decisions under pressure. It's about leadership through and through.
Okay, so they're basically superheroes in disguise, minus the capes and spandex.
Something like that. But instead of that superhuman strength, they possess a very unique blend of experience, knowledge, and dedication to serving their communities.
This is fascinating stuff. So now that we've unpacked the day-to-day realities of a police inspector, let's talk about how someone actually lands this crucial role. Because I'm guessing it's not as simple as walking into a police station and asking for a promotion.
You're right about that there's a clear career path that is outlined in the guide, and it involves climbing the ranks. Let's dive into that, shall we?
All right, so the path to becoming a police inspector, it's like climbing the ranks, you say. It's giving me serious, like, police academy vibes, starting from the bottom and working your way up.
That's a pretty accurate comparison. The guide lays out this structured progression, and it all begins with those entry-level positions. Think of it like the foundation of a house, right? You need a strong base to build upon.
So we're talking fresh out of the academy, eager-eyed rookies patrolling the streets.
Precisely, starting as a patrol officer is where you gain that firsthand experience, learning the ins and outs of law enforcement, really from the ground up. It's about understanding the community, responding to calls, and getting a feel for the pulse of the city.
It's like the guide says, those early years are all about building a solid foundation. But how do you go from patrolling the streets to then leading a whole division? What comes next?
That's where things get really interesting. The guide highlights roles like detective, sergeant, and lieutenant. Each step up the ladder comes with those increased responsibilities and opportunities to showcase your leadership potential.
Well, break that down for me. I'll admit my knowledge of police hierarchy is a little shaky. Like, what is the difference between a sergeant and a lieutenant, for example?
Good question. Think of it this way. A sergeant is like a frontline supervisor managing a smaller team of officers, ensuring they're following procedures and providing guidance on cases. A lieutenant, on the other hand, has a broader scope overseeing multiple units or those specialized divisions within the department.
Okay, so it's like moving from team leader to department manager. You're responsible for the bigger picture stuff. But what about those certifications that the guide keeps mentioning? Where do they fit into all of this?
Those certifications are like milestones that mark your progress, like a clear signal that you're not just going through the motions. You're actively pursuing knowledge and honing your skills. They're like badges of honor in the law enforcement world.
Badges of honor. I like that. So we're
Sure.
talking about things like police officers certification, supervisory training, law enforcement management, all those official sounding titles.
Exactly. Each certification that you earn demonstrates your expertise in a very specific area and adds weight to your application when you're aiming for that inspector position. It's a way of proving you've got the skills and the knowledge to handle the job.
This is starting to sound like a video game. Level up your skills, earn your badges, and eventually you unlock that ultimate prize, becoming a police inspector.
There's definitely a sense of progression and achievement in the career path, but it's not just about checking boxes. It's about embodying the qualities of a true leader.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of qualities are we talking about here? What does it take to stand out from the crowd and prove you've got what it takes to be an inspector?
Well, the guide emphasizes a few key areas. Remember how we talked about critical thinking and communication being so crucial? Those skills become even more vital as you climb the ranks.
So it's not just about knowing the laws, but knowing how to apply it in those real-world situations, right?
Yes,
And being able to clearly communicate your decisions to your team and to the public.
exactly. And let's not forget about problem solving. Inspectors are often faced with very complex challenges that require creative solutions and the ability to think on their feet. They're the ones who set the tone for their entire division.
Sounds like a pretty demanding job, to be honest. You need to be a master strategist, a skilled communicator, and a level-headed leader all rolled into one.
That's a pretty accurate description, but it's also an incredibly rewarding career path for those who are really passionate about serving their community and upholding the law.
So if you're cut out for, it seems like there's no shortage of opportunities to learn, to grow, and to make a real difference in the world of law enforcement. But let's get real for a second. How does one even begin to prepare for the interview process? This is where RoleCatcher really shines, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's almost like you have to be able to predict the future of crime. In a way, yeah, anticipating those trends is a big part of it. And that's something the guide really stresses.
So how do you even begin to wrap your head around all of that?
Well, a lot of it comes down to experience, and that's where working your way up the ranks is so important. But RoleCatcher also provides some really cool tools and resources to bridge that gap.
Okay, so they're not just throwing you in the deep end, they're giving you some floaties. What kind of resources are we talking about here?
Well, one thing that really impressed me was their interview prep section. And get this, they don't just give you a list of those generic interview questions. They present these realistic scenarios, ethical dilemmas, the kind of tough situations a police inspector might face on the job.
Oh, wow. So it's like a simulation almost. You get to test out your responses and see how you would hold up under pressure.
Exactly. It's like stepping into the role before you even have the job. And here's the kicker. They even offer AI-powered feedback on your performance. So imagine getting personalized advice on your delivery, your content, your body language, all to help you nail that interview.
That's next level stuff.
Yeah.
Like having a secret weapon going into those crucial moments. RoleCatcher has thought of everything, it seems.
It seems that way. And, for anyone listening who's thinking, wow, this police inspector role sounds intense, well, it is.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's demanding, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
For the right person, absolutely.
And with these resources, like what RoleCatcher is doing, it really makes this career path much more accessible, I think.
Totally. So yeah, if you're out there and you're feeling inspired by what we talked about today, definitely check out RoleCatcher if you're serious about a career in law enforcement, specifically becoming a police inspector.
Yeah, great resource.
They've got those tools, those insights, the AI-powered interview prep to help you really stand out from the crowd. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one leading that symphony of law and order someday.
Maybe.
Until next time, keep those questions coming and stay curious.